The island had no name that mattered to the men crouched in the mud. On maps it was just another green scar in the South Pacific, but to the Marines digging in around the darkened airstrip, it was everything. Henderson Field lay silent behind them, no lights, no engines, only the smell of wet earth and aviation fuel soaked deep into the ground. Rain slid from Lieutenant Tom Harker's helmet as he leaned against a half-built sandbag wall. His rifle felt heavier than it should have. The jungle in front of them breathed, alive, watching. "You hear that?" he whispered. Private Eddie Morales shook his head, though his fingers trembled as he checked his ammunition for the third time. "That's what scares me, sir. I don't hear anything at all." The jungle was never quiet. When it went silent, it meant someone was moving through it. Beyond the Marine perimeter, deep under the canopy, Colonel Masao Ichiki led his men forward. Boots sank into mud. Sweat mixed with rain. Bayonets caught faint reflections of moonlight filtering through palm leaves. Ichiki walked with calm certainty, convinced the night already belonged to him. Earlier, he had spoken without restraint. The Americans, he said, were weak. Effeminate. Dependent on machines and comfort. A single night assault would shatter them and reclaim the airfield before dawn. His officers had bowed. His soldiers believed. They marched light. No heavy weapons. No artillery. Only rifles, grenades, and faith. Back at the Marine line, Sergeant Bill Kincaid moved quietly between gun pits. "Nobody fires till they're on the wire," he muttered. "Let 'em think we're asleep." The rain thickened. Insects vanished. Even the surf seemed distant. Then a sharp cry tore through the darkness. A flare burst overhead, bathing the jungle edge in harsh white light. Figures surged forward, dozens, then hundreds, screaming as they charged. "Contact front." Harker shouted. The night erupted. Machine guns hammered, their tracers stitching the rain. Mortars thumped, pre-registered rounds landing with brutal accuracy. Japanese soldiers fell in rows, but the attack did not stop. More poured out of the trees, climbing over the dead, hurling grenades, firing wildly. Morales fired until his rifle burned his hands. Somewhere to his left, a Marine screamed. Somewhere ahead, a Japanese officer blew a whistle, urging another charge. Colonel Ichiki watched in disbelief as wave after wave collapsed under disciplined fire. This was not the enemy he had imagined. The Marines did not break. They did not run. They waited, aimed, and killed. By midnight, the jungle floor was slick with blood and rainwater. Radios crackled with broken voices. Units reported devastating losses. Requests for withdrawal went unanswered. Still the attacks came. The Marines held the line, exhausted, deafened, and terrified, but unbroken. As the hours crawled on, one truth became clear in the killing rain: this night was not ending the way Colonel Ichiki had promised. The firing slowed just before dawn, not because the will to fight was gone, but because there were fewer voices left to give orders. Smoke drifted low over the ground, mixing with mist rising from the riverbanks. The rain eased into a thin drizzle, and with it came an uneasy silence that rang louder than gunfire. When the first gray light crept through the trees, the scale of the night revealed itself. The jungle in front of the Marine perimeter was no longer green. Rifles lay abandoned where their owners had fallen. Packs, helmets, and shattered equipment were scattered among bodies that had charged with absolute certainty only hours before. Entire Japanese assault units had ceased to exist. Marine patrols moved forward cautiously, rifles raised, stepping over tangled wire and broken branches. Lieutenant Harker felt his legs shake, not from fear now, but from the sudden release of it. "Easy, easy," Sergeant Kincaid whispered. "They're done." Private Morales stared ahead, his face pale, his eyes fixed on the ground. "They just kept coming," he said, almost to himself. Near the river, Colonel Masao Ichiki sat alone. His uniform was torn, stained dark by mud and blood that was not all his own. The confidence that had carried him through the jungle was gone, replaced by the crushing weight of reality. Of the regiment he had led into the night, barely a fraction remained alive. More than 80% were dead or wounded, destroyed in a single assault. His doctrine had failed. His contempt had blinded him. The Marines did not celebrate. They buried their dead where they could, marked the ground with helmets and rifles, and returned to their positions. Engineers were already at work on Henderson Field again, filling craters, clearing debris. Before the sun reached its peak, aircraft would fly from the strip once more. The war was far from over. Guadalcanal would demand more blood in the months ahead. But something had changed in that one night. The myth of the unstoppable Japanese night attack was shattered, and in its place stood a grim lesson written in mud and fire. As the sun rose higher, the jungle slowly came back to life. Birds returned. Insects buzzed. The island seemed indifferent to what had happened beneath its trees. For the men who survived, the memory would never fade. War did not reward arrogance. It punished it without mercy. Courage was not found in words spoken before a battle, but in the quiet resolve to hold the line when everything else said to run. And on that island, before dawn broke, the cost of underestimating an enemy was counted in silence.